come on, hold on to your man. And then we do a little oi. Doorsteps, but after night we have no time. We gon' deal with that tomorrow. Tonight we going out and line. We gon' do a little soca. We gon' do a little grind. We gon' do a little back. And show them youngsters how to wine. Tonight the black man feeling the party. Tonight the black man feeling the jam. Tonight the black man just feels the boogie. Come on, hold on to your man. And one day we do a little oi. We going out and celebrate. Tonight we got my feelings fine. Tonight we got my feelings the jam. Tonight we got my chest with the birthday boogie. Come on, hold on to it. And then you want it. If we just give one more try, life would be fun.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night once again. Of course, you never give up. It is said, of course, standing at the foot of the ladder and gaze into the sky. How can you get up if you never try? But try and try again, you will succeed at last. The indomitable spirit of the, of course, concept and the idea of the corridor transformation.
And without social unrest, for people paying the price. Because they know for the country, nothing too much to sacrifice. And if the country facing its darkest hour, so our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender.
And of course, I had to do it for Basdeo Panday because I have, of course, on this night, this historic night, even though in passing and cremation, that I give my own story in finality as to his impact on my own political and multiple development. Yes, indeed.
Anytime that we hear Trimbago is facing a crisis, as loyal citizens it's our duty to stay and assist. For we know to ourselves there could never become a day we're not deaf to this country we can't repay. So who want to go, I have no objection. But while outside I want you to have some consideration that your country of birth is in its worst day in history, and we must do what we can, regardless where we may be. our country facing its darkest hour, and our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever we feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want we always remember. We could make it if we try, just a little harder.
Well, indeed, of course, we have to move forward. We have consumed, of course, a lot of time in rectification. I understand that I have overloaded the system in my enthusiasm to bring, of course, as much material tonight as possible on this historic night. But just as, of course, the old adage and the old concept that when something has to go wrong, it will at the worst possible time. Yes, Murphy's Law. Let's go straight to the line. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Welcome. Of course, our external correspondent is here. Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night.
Lennox, good night again.
Yes, pleasant good night. I trust things are better now.
Hello?
Yeah, are you hearing me? Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
Okay, all right. What I'm saying is that some people are still having no audio.
The volume. All right. Well, that should have been fixed. I'm seeing it working now.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So you make your contribution.
All right.
Yeah.
Lennox,
okay. Yes.
as much as they try to interfere with the lives tonight, we got the gist of your paying tribute to Mr. Panday. Lennox, I want to say tonight, I heard the first part of somebody calling and saying, hand over the mantle to Michaela. Who is Michaela?
Yes, somebody did, yes.
Michaela, when the party was started, where was Michaela? I heard you say, and rightly so, that she has her own party.
Yes. That's why I told them that.
What has she done to even build her
that
own
appears
party?
to be impossible,
She's
yeah.
lazy. Yes, and the thing is, Lennox, she never showed one day we have never heard Michaela address the property tax, address the gas prices, we on whole address the crime situation, or even what the PNM is doing. You know why? Because she plays sucky face with the PNM. And we saw her for independence, she had departed. I don't care who attacked me and all Lennox. I call it as I see it. And I forget to start with Metallica tonight. Stop domestic violence. Stop your real men do it as well. Lennox, there's an advertisement on social media for a mental health service. This psychotherapy group is a safe place for female survivors of domestic violence and intimate partner violence. It is free and there are limited spots. And I'm appealing to women out there. Do not allow men to be abusing you like that. And you see people who encourage men abuse women by laughing at what they're saying to women, they are the abusers. That's out of the way because too many of our women are dying because of domestic violence, and are being abused by men, some men who don't even know them. And see all the chats. And this stop now. They hide behind fake profiles in order to abuse people. Right? No. Lennox,
Yes.
and next thing. Today I was so proud to see Mrs. Professor walk into that building, elegant and stately. And to all who questioning her mental and physical health, Joe. Because we all know in the twinkle of an eye what could happen. I will tell you something here tonight, Lennox. This has had me sick since Saturday. I lost a niece on Friday night.
Yes.
And my son lost his boss on Saturday night.
All right, okay.
They told this man they would see him on Monday morning. Not knowing Monday, they would have had to be attending his funeral.
Uh-huh.
Up to now, Lennox, I can't wrap my head on those two deaths yet. Because I knew him. I would call him and we would talk, we would chat. Because sometimes if he had any issues, he would send messages to me and I'll pass it on to Kamala and she will address it.
Okay.
You understand? And and it really, really hurt me at the passing of these two people. He was buried yesterday and my niece will be buried on Thursday.
Okay, well,
So
my belated condolences. Yes.
Thank you, Lennox. Thank you so much. And you see, people feel, look at an eye, Lennox, what could happen to people?
Yeah.
Not because you see somebody.
Yes.
Yeah, Lennox, I have my challenges, but that is not affecting my challenges with my feet. It's not affecting my thinking. As a matter of fact, they say when you lose one sharpens. Come across like somebody mentally can or not clear that somebody can understand me. So why is because if Mrs. Prasad Bissessor has a problem walking, she's not crippled, she should go her way. If it wasn't for Mrs. Prasad Bissessor thinking ability, we would never have had an election. A local government election. She would not be keeping PDP on her toes. And that I said, Lennox, let them go right ahead. Let them take an adventure of themselves. What it is going on. And Lennox, I must say that I was very disappointed that Gary Pitt, who was the attachment, was not invited to the funeral.
Repeat that last one for me.
The funeral, he and Jack and should have stormed it like Karen Eunice, Sharon, and Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was embarrassing. Extremely embarrassing.
Amy Brown pulled himself out of it, eh? Yeah. Yeah, when Karen Eunice Teixeira was exposing them, he pulled himself out of it and he said he was only doing what the family asked for. But if it is that Michaela used state funds and tried to embarrass Kamala, she better not stand too close to the farm when it fly back. But I must say, Kamala looked well. And she walked in there with a lot of elegance. And all the PNM I talking about, she going in there drunk and they had to escort and whatnot and whatnot. She showed them. She showed all of them. So I want to say before I leave Lennox, when they want to question her mental and physical health, she called their own Rowley and all the fakes and them who pretended to be UNC strong and pro-UNC supporters. We recognize only for all out. But Lennox, take care and have a good night.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, of course, for that contribution. But people, we just have about 15 minutes again. And I need, of course, to check on the system to make certain that it is ready for tomorrow night. Because I don't want to have this constant disturbance, if you want to call it that. Constant interruption, if you want to call it that. Constant having, of course, to check to see whether or not you are receiving what you are supposed to receive. However, what I suggest is that you call 337-6940, 337-6940 for the rest of the program, the next 15 minutes, because I don't think that I will be doing justice to the amount of things I have to talk about that Basdeo Panday has influenced. I will leave it, of course, for the beginning of tomorrow night's, of course, program, when I would, of course, expatiate and, of course, not exaggerate, but certainly, of course, bring the facts about my own experiences to the fore. And, of course, it is wide and varied, and you will be surprised as to the amount of not only interaction that we would have had over his political life, because that is what brought us together. And of course, when I formed the Love Party, Laventille Outreach for Vertical Enrichment, and what I consider to be a regional party committed only to the Laventilles and East and Port of Spain South, or East Port of Spain, as the case may be. Yes. And as a result of that, of course, we were equal partners in terms of the UNCA for the 2007 general elections. Yes, you would know. And I would tell you as well, for the first time and no other time, that any one of the major parties in Trinidad and Tobago had accommodated Laventille as a special area for consideration. In fact, I suggest that when, of course, directly as a consequence of the UNCA led by Panday at the time, that, of course, put into that document, which I will, of course, walk with for certification tomorrow, in terms of what was in store for Laventille, the two Laventilles, Laventille East and West, and of course, Port of Spain South, or geographic Laventille, I like to call it, with, of course, the same socio-economic and psycho-cultural dynamics that many don't understand. And as a consequence, the area has been, of course, devoid of not only formidable leadership, but also investment, as well as consideration, as well as attention for, of course, the amelioration of many of the physical and social issues that has plagued Laventille and continue to plague, because, as you know, and I've said it here in no uncertain terms, you heard me this morning, if you were listening on the ground report, and my castigation of Rowley and Day for putting desperados on Nelson Street, and the implications and the connotations for, of course, the whole question of advisories against Trinidad and Tobago, and whether or not they have done not whether or not, I said categorically that it was an injustice done to desperados, arguably the best steel band on earth, and to, of course, do that to them by, of course, setting them up and telling them that Tiago Ridge Road is too good for them, and that they should go down to Nelson Street, and then tell them that tourists will come and see them play there. I mean, it is insulting. It is disrespectful. It is, of course, a man who has lost his entire perspective in terms of rationality, common sense, and the inability, of course, to take Trinidad and Tobago forward. Because if it was dependent on desperados to, of course, transform the economy, let's say, to one where we export our culture through desperados and others, then clearly that too would have been and is a failure by Rowley. That decision to put them on Nelson Street, where all over the world, every potential visitor from United Kingdom, Canada, United States, Germany, France, know not to go on Nelson Street. And they tell them in non-certain terms, especially the Americans, if you go there, you go at your own risk. Because the embassy will not, of course, provide any kind of assistance for you if you find yourself there. And yet still, Rowley goes there took a decision to put them there, and you don't understand that he must be jettisoned and get the hell out of. Pastor, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Mr. Lennox, and all the listeners.
Yes, good night to you.
Good night, Mr. Lennox, and to all the listeners, and always stream the World Wide Web.
Yes, indeed.
Mr. Lennox.
Hey.
Keith Rowley, who will be the successor of the PNM to lead the PNM? Because 2 terms for Prime Minister, he bandied about integrity, that 2 terms only. But if the supporters and them seeing and feeling the neglect and the hurt of not getting the trickle down of the economic pie, who will lead their party? Who will have 8 years of service to them? And 8 years is only a bank account. You see where the money is going and no real distribution to the world. Mr. Panday had only 5 years and a lot of red tape, and he make it happen. And these people who are trying to change the narrative, they are propping a dictator who is presently in our midst, because Rowley is a chronic dictator right now, because the judiciary, he did not give them the protocol permission to attend the funeral. He did not give a day off for people to pay the respect, because all as a dictator, young Ching Pu in South Korea, he is just like that. You have to laugh, clap, and do. And the slave catchers are clapping, laughing at the dictator, everything he says. But when the true economic power, and we're talking about unity, it's only we as a people. We can't say what we really want to say to let them know what is going on in our society today. Because we just observe a week and morning, but we see a long lifetime of hate and malice still exists in society. And because of we love one another and we will die for we party and we leaders we choose, we are not honest with ourselves to say that we are first. And when you are a dented son of the land who come and know what poverty is about and hardship, and you follow the PNM narrative all through the years from Dr. Eric to know, you see why it is a sub-ethnic group will gravitate to them for enrichment and empowerment for their own self financially. And where it is, the vulnerable, after the abolition of slavery 500 years ago and more, the African diaspora in Trinidad and Tobago is still under the colonial, the artifacts and the nature of them. You're giving them $7 million to bring them out to be literate, to learn to read. So that's what I'm trying to say is time too short, so trying to talk in parables. So it's only when we as a people who accept that really forgiveness and togetherness and put ourselves first to enjoy the nectar that Mr. Panday has given us for 5 years, and our political leader under the Kamla Prasad successor for 5 years. The Billionaire Hospital in Port Spain, and up to now, they can give the health center back the recognition so that way healthcare will be delivered to the people. Have a nice night, Mr. Lennox.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, of course. And yes, it is important, of course, that we give recognition where recognition is required. And so, of course, I believe strongly that we need to make certain that we give it the kind of recognition that is due to a man of the soil, a man of indentured, coming out from indentured slavery, if you want to call it. I like to call it indentured slavery because, I mean, the work was hard. But, of course, let's go straight, of course, to, all right, we will go back to the phone. We'll go back to the phone, and then, of course, we will take Michaela Panday and what she had to say in an interview about her father, the late, great Basdeo Panday. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Lennox. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Come closer to the
Lennox,
phone.
good
Speak a
night.
little more.
Can you hear me?
Right, good. Now we are in you. There are a little technical problem tonight, but we will solve that.
Okay, well, I'll just make my contribution, okay? But, Lennox, we have to face the facts, okay? This whole thing about election and prime minister and leadership. I think a lot of our people don't understand the dynamics going on in this country, And I know what poverty is like, but the truth is that we have a mass population who live in poverty, who lived in poverty even before indentured labor came here. And they have never elevated, and their children are lost, and we blame them, we castigate them. And I have to say, Panday was a first generation Indian to become prime minister. We had a first Indian woman to become prime minister. We've never had an African woman become prime minister. We've had in this country that this country was gifted to Eric Williams, a Trinidadian African man who literally came from a lineage of slavery, but also I think French Creole too. And he came from a bourgeois family. I think his mother's family did, or his wife's family. But the fact is that we have seen suffrage going on and on, and it's not just Indian people who suffered. And we don't realize it and acknowledge it, that the inequity in our country is so deep that we have to recognize it, and give credence to it. And I think the elevation of Panday to become a leader, a guy whose parents spoke Hindi and went to school, and he decided that urine was bad. He couldn't stand the smell of the stench of animal. He wanted to become a lawyer or an actor, and he lived his dream, became prime minister. I think that's amazing, in
Yes,
a country like Trinidad,
It is. It's
where we have
monumental.
tremendous
One of a
wealth,
kind.
and the money
It's
never
truly.
hit the people for years. I'm gonna end now because I am taking a lot of time, but I feel like this whole thing with leadership and everything, we have to acknowledge that suffrage in our country, it's so deep that we never really wrote our constitution to define our people. And Panday did say we need constitutional reform, and we know that. And so that is something we have to fight for now.
Oh,
And
yes.
we
Oh,
write this
yes.
constitution so it recognizes our people and give them the power back. All right, that's my contribution.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Of course, I'm glad that at least someone is sold on the question of constitutional reform, and I think it will be a fitting legacy to Basdeo Panday, of course, to come on board. I know that, of course, there are certain aspects leading towards, of course, constitutional reform, as he recommended, as he suggested. I will be talking, of course, with Michaela as well, because we have a close relationship through her father, and I want to tell you that I am going to be an advocate for that aspect of the latter part of his life, and in his post political activism capacity. And so, of course, I believe it is a worthy cause to engage in, having regard, of course, to what he has contributed to Trinidad and Tobago. As I said, tomorrow night, I will tell you exactly all of what he did in terms of my own experiences. And I can tell you there has been a lot. But let's go straight to Michaela Panday and hear what she has to say with respect, of course, to her father, having been interviewed sometime after.
That's where my dad sits. Yeah.
How do you feel about how your dad is being honored today and until his funeral?
Wonderful. There are just no words. I can't say thank you enough to everyone who has helped us, and most of all the public and the people who loved him so much.
Well, let me pause and take this telephone call. Pleasant good night. Welcome. All right.
Because I know you.
No, I'm back on. I'm back on right now.
No, I seen you there, but I want to go up.
Yes.
The first thing I want to say,
Yeah.
He call on if I Jabat caller.
Yeah.
This one he call on, he go report after him. I say, ask the people to forgive Basdeo Panday. For all the things he said that over. So, me what happened, I tell Andy, I say, Bani, he call back on the program.
No, we can't do that. We can't do that. We have room for everybody.
You say, who Basdeo Panday offend? But what I'm telling you, maybe I may continue.
Yeah, go ahead.
I win the play mark this morning, 33.
Yeah.
But she didn't play with Pionga, so they mean that.
Yeah.
But they didn't play Basdeo Panday this morning. She was Basdeo Panday, I said, yeah, boy, 33, yeah. Basdeo Panday was the first local EP in this country. That was not. Basdeo Panday.
Right.
That was part of his repertoire, man, and part of his
Yeah,
greatness.
it's only a true trade agent will make that interpretation. But go ahead, my friend. Songing good. You'll have all the way to the back.
Williams was alive at George Chambers. They were not come to Basdeo Panday funeral.
Yeah. But I understand that the Prime Minister was there.
But somebody just see me, George, he was looking too comfortable.
Yeah, and because he had Sharon Nunez and them, Teixeira, and they, of course, climbing over barriers because they weren't catered for.
You know that they love such a woman.
Yeah.
But that man's going to be about everybody.
Yeah, they say they would not be left out of this seminal occasion.
That, you know, you always say you don't work and wonders if you should have to perform.
Yes, it wonders to perform. It works in mysterious ways, yes.
About,
Yeah.
that is a woman. The next thing I want to tell you before I go.
Go ahead.
With Michaela Basdeo Panday was friends of since 1971.
Yes.
And he talk on my key program tonight, and you could tell, boy.
Right.
Oh, yeah, how we feeling that thing, boy.
Yeah. I myself, in my own little way, have in regard to my own personal encounter, and I have a lot to talk about. I'll talk some on tomorrow morning, as well as on the corridor tomorrow night.
And as well, rocket scientist, Basdeo Panday, the man in Brentwood, you know.
All right, okay.
You have to be a rocket scientist, you know how long he in Brentwood.
Right.
You must check out that.
I'll do that as well, yes.
But if I'm not mistaken, Batches, he man bring out that word.
All right.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist.
Right.
I went to look for a film in TTT in 1981 when Chambers was Prime Minister, right? I overran Padmore without the budget. Chambers come and set up next to Kelvin Ramnat and a couple of the other PNC members, and they listened to him.
Right.
And Chambers and them all talking. Basdeo Panday and George Chambers were never enemies.
Right.
Good? And that crap would make for George Chambers don't see and all this thing. Basdeo Panday would never get involved in that.
Right.
Robin Flanders can do that.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I'm telling you, you must keep your weight back.
All right, I will. We'll do that tomorrow. And we'll try to get, of course, the political leader of the UNC as well, Kamala Prasad Bisesa. So we'll try that this week and see how successful we will be. Because we need, of course, to get various perspectives. Yeah.
But you know, I used to talk to you off and on.
Yes.
If I came on your program, that was a royal man to pass by.
All right.
Right? So we go talk tomorrow.
We'll talk tomorrow, yes. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes, indeed. Of course, we take it from all sides. We take it from on the system itself, of course, 337-6940. And, of course, we take it from my personal phone as well. Let's continue with Michaela and hear what she has to say with respect, of course, to the overwhelming support and, of course, a pouring of sympathy. And in my case, of course, empathy, not as a dead person, but because of his impact on my own life, politically and otherwise.
Outpour of love, people say when people send love to you, you feel stronger. We have gotten strength from the people of Trinidad and Tobago, my family, me. It's unbelievable. How do we begin to say thank you? So we say thank you on behalf of our dad as well.
Someone said to me this morning, a spectator, they expressed that, when someone dies, then there's this big outpouring of support and all these flowers and so on that we give to them when they die, but when they're alive, they don't get that same kind of recognition. Do you feel that was true of your dad?
No, I think he got great recognition and love while he was alive, and he's just getting even more now, which I didn't think was even possible. So, no, he received love when he was alive, completely, and even more so now. And again, I can't stop saying thank you so very much to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, south, east, west.
There have been calls for him to be honored with perhaps the naming of the Piarco International Airport after him. Do you echo those sentiments? Do you think that more than just the airport should be named after him?
I tried to think of what he would say if he was here. And he would say, what are you naming anything after me for? That's what he would say. Don't name anything after me. He'd probably want constitutional reform if he wanted anything. It was never about him. It was not about his name. It was always country before self. And therefore, what will help the country? He believed that constitutional reform would have helped the country, so that was what he would want. I'm echoing his sentiments as I feel he would have said.
And yesterday they decided to name Shiva Boys, to rename Shiva Boys Basdeo Panday Shiva Boys. How do you feel?
It's great if it will inspire the youth, because he was interested in the youth and he loved the youth of this nation. He believed that the youth were the future of this nation. He believes that education was the way out of poverty and how you can change your life and have control of your life. So it's a wonderful honor and we're very grateful, and I thank them on his behalf. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
I just wanted to find out, are those your siblings?
Yes, I have. A lot of people don't know I have sisters. It is 4 girls, no boys. My older sister will be coming. Then there's me, and there's 2 younger. And I have a sister in the Defense Force. Yes. They don't make as much noise as me. I fall in his footsteps. So I just want to say thank you again to everybody. The media, the parliament, the government has been extremely helpful. And when people have been kind and helpful to you, they must be thanked. And everybody came together, and the show of unity in this country, I wish he was here to see it. Coping. Mom's struggling a little bit, but we have had love and support, so thank you. She'll get there, one step at a time. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Well, that was, of course, Michaela Panday, as of course she expressed her heartfelt, as in one instance, of course, instinctively intuitive. Let me put it that way. Instinctively intuitive. When, of course, she said in response to the question, what would he would have liked, and of course, there was the suggestion of the airport. We're gonna deal with that tomorrow night as well, and then, of course, she retorted by saying no. He would have not wanted that, but he would have wanted certainly constitutional reform, because that will bring equity, it will bring discipline to the politics and the strongman tactic that the present constitution provides for a person who is so inclined, dogmatic, arrogant, contemptuous, and of course having a tendency to be, of course, dogmatic and bombastic. That could be eliminated by way of constitutional reform. That supercilious nature of Rowley, for example, we don't want another Rowley or any version of that in the chair of Prime Minister in this country again. And so when we go to the polls, preferably before 2025, not only must we reject it, but they must get a sound licking for the level of corruption, nepotism, cronyism that they have, of course, accused others of. And they themselves not only proliferate, not only are saturated and densely occupied with, of course, self-conceitedness and self-aggrandizement and self wealth, utilizing the resources of the country. That is thievery. And we must resist that. People have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. It is already 11 minutes past 10 o'clock. I know that we had some interruption, but I have to prepare for tomorrow morning, and I have some other matters that I need to deal with. For example, somebody asked me to deal with, of course, the question of confirmation of that roll, that 200,000 persons on that roll, that property tax roll. We need to know. So therefore, I am going to pursue that as soon as tomorrow. Let's take our final call. Night. Welcome. Professor, good night. Welcome.
Good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night.
Mr. Lennox.
Yes.
When in a Hindu tradition, when they are putting the body to consecrate it to light the fire, while they're doing the ritual, there is acts of forgiveness for the soul to cross the Atma, right?
Yes.
The Atma to cross the Kalapani and to go back to Sri Ram, Lord Krishna, right?
Right.
Now, this morning, when I had said, we asked those who Mr. Panday may have offended and have not, and they wanted apology. I asked for forgiveness on his behalf. And those who had offended him, and he didn't forget, they wanted forgiveness from him, and they didn't get it, that they may be forgiven. So today, that is, the body will be cremated, and the soul will be free from bondage. You can ask any pundit. So when the caller is saying that I asked him for forgiveness and to forgive him for the wrong, he should understand the remainder of the call. And when I had said that today he will cross and to get to Sri Ram.
Oh, I see.
So
you're
he just take part of it. So I
Hindu ritual. Yeah.
So even though the wrong narrative.
Very good.
So, if you would like to know, we know that is the rift between Basant, Ramesh, Trevor, and Ralph. Those are things to hurt a human being. And to ask them to forgive him. Because they looked at Gordon, the pseudo-racist, when they use the word. They put it before the political assassination. He asked for forgiveness when he went and paid his tribute. So this is what we are talking about. And it's only this true forgiveness that our party and our nation could conquer the PNM by true unity, by bringing everybody together, by forgiving for what has gone in the past. Have a nice night.
Same thing to you, my friend. Well, thank you for that elucidation, and that clearly explained a ritual that most of us who are not of that ilk or have not grown up in that tradition will know. So, of course, if it is that the statutes of or the tenets of that religion requires that on that occasion, well, certainly I see nothing wrong with it. In fact, I would encourage other religions, if they don't have that kind of, let's say, passing over a ritual, to, of course, engage such or weave it into their own ceremonies. That being as it may, of course, have a wonderful rest of the night. Don't forget, of course, tomorrow morning, the Gong Report, Andy, Mike, and myself. Of course, Andy is a bit, as I said, sedated. He's has some personal challenges that, of course, I'm not at liberty to share, but certainly we wish him, as all of you have been doing, all the success in the world in meeting that challenge. Not for the first time, but of course life is about that. So all of us have our respective challenges. We heard, of course, Miss Santa Cruz's. We heard last night, of course, Miss Valsain's. And of course, we say to all of ourselves, because I myself have my own. For example, tonight the television or the cameras that just went berserk. And of course, things didn't just go right. But of course, we have to plug away. We have to be optimistic. We have to pray. We have to, of course, be on our P's and Q's. And we have to always say to ourselves as human beings, we are an existential being, and therefore the indomitable nature of the human spirit is one that will always meet the challenges, the challenges simply because we want a better life for ourselves, our family, our neighborhood, our community, our towns, our boroughs, and indeed our country. Our country. So people, have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And of course, I think African exit must be in the vein of the late great Basdeo Panday, who was cremated today, former Prime Minister. I think sufferers and of course a Caribbean man, a salute would be appropriate by of course the great late as well Stalin, Black Stalin.
Sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in who pay. Sufferers don't care who from country. Sufferers don't care who from town.
Sufferers only want to know
where the next food coming from.
bunch of racists, and you hear them running them out. It have a...
Hey, I'm on air. I'm on air, just in case you have anything to say. That. Yes, I'm on air, Andy. Andy?
You
Andy?
live?
Yeah, I'm on the live, yes. So...
Well, if there's anything you got on. All right, I'll just talk. In
oh, my
court.
goodness.
If there's anything you could just have to...
I'll call you
to
back.
the studio, I'll just go and seek some medical attention.
Okay, all right, okay.
I don't know if I don't think we're going to make it tomorrow.
Okay, all right.
Right?
Yeah, okay. All right.
You need to call me back.
Yeah, I will. I will.
Studio.
Yeah, I will call you. I will call you, Andy.
All right.
Oh my goodness. All right. God rest. God rest. I'll call you back. Oh boy. People, of course, I've just spoken, and here it is. I'll have to call him. I'll have to call him back in a while. People. All of us have our challenges. All of us. Yes, indeed.
Set of people don't care what they're talking about. A racist is someone living happy and all their family doing well. So race talk is really not for people in the ghetto catching hell. Now tell the racist, sufferers don't care about color. Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in who place. Sufferers don't care who from country. Sufferers don't care who from town. Sufferers only want to hear where the next food coming from. You try with a federation, the whole thing end in confusion. CARICOM and then CARIFTA, but somehow a spelling disaster. Mr. West Indian politician, I mean you went to a big institution, and how come you can't unite 7 million? When a West Indian unity, I know it's very easy. If you only rap to your people and tell them like me, them is one race, the Caribbean man, from the same place, the Caribbean man, that make the same trip, the Caribbean man, on the same ship, the Caribbean man. So we must push one common intention, it's for a better life in the region, for we women and we children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man.